So I'm going to just give you all a quick overview of the FCC position paper report. I considered reading it to you because I'm sure you all miss China and would like to sit and listen to me read for 2 hours, but I'm just going to give you some of the main points. The FCCC report has come up with 6 major areas of concern that are ongoing and big. Just by way of background, in 2008, you're probably all aware that China enacted new reporting regulations for foreign correspondents in China that were meant to open up the field and provide foreign correspondents in China with more opportunities in covering China. Unfortunately, after the Olympics, we began to see a backslide. And in the years since, we have seen increasing losses in what we're able to cover, in new regional restrictions, in new policies that prevent foreign journalists from being able to cover the world's second largest economy openly. And this is something I'm sure that many of you who were there a long time ago think that, well, it's better than it was when we were there, and that's absolutely true. But the fact is, China wants to be a major player in the world, and we should have the same kind of access to China that we have to any other country under international standards. And just to give you an idea of where China stands on international standards, the latest Foreign Correspondents Club of China survey indicated that 99% of our members who took the survey does not believe that China meets international standards for reporting conditions, which means that one person did. So I'll let you guess who that might be, and I can't tell you. So the 6 areas that we flagged for action, and I'm hoping that you all will help us come up with some ideas on how we can move forward on these areas. The number one is just restrictive reporting conditions, and it's an ongoing problem that we've seen for years, and it has been getting worse. So in our latest annual survey, 2/3 of journalists who responded said they've experienced interference, harassment, or violence while attempting to report in China in the previous year. Among those, 10% were subjected to manhandling or physical force. And I have to credit Jocelyn here because she's done a tremendous job in educating foreign correspondents on what constitutes interference. I think a lot of us are willing to kind of accept it with, oh, it's China. Of course the unmarked car is going to follow you while you're reporting in Hebei. But actually it shouldn't be that way. And so Jocelyn has done a very remarkable job of educating journalists about what their rights should be in China. And so people are actually a lot more aware of how things should and shouldn't work. Other issues with interference and restrictions. So key news events have become hotspots for correspondents to be arrested, threatened, and manhandled. There's been a growing trend of preemptive interference in coverage, and that would be the authorities calling people up and saying, don't go to Tiananmen on June 4th. That's become pretty commonplace and troubling. Tiananmen is not officially off limits to anyone, and that includes foreign correspondents. Cyber attacks continue against reporters and media companies. And there does appear to be a new and growing campaign by Chinese officials to pressure their journalists about coverage from outside of China. So we've had several major news organizations from Europe and the US report visits from embassy staff in their home countries. So not calling in the correspondents in Beijing, but going to headquarters and complaining about stories they didn't like. So that's just kind of an overview of the major concern. The second area is our news assistants. As you know, we're only as good as our Chinese staff, and our Chinese staff has been coming under increasing pressure. The latest survey shows that 35% of correspondents who had a news assistant, half of correspondents who have a news assistant said that their news assistant was harassed or intimidated at least once in the last year, and that's up from 35% the year before. The third and possibly more important category than the first two is the harassment of sources. So we should be able to interview Chinese sources without them fearing reprisals or repercussions, and increasingly that's just not the case. A couple of examples from this survey. One European television reporter said, quote, after visiting a village for a story on family planning, all of our sources were contacted by police and state security and issued stern warnings. One source was told, you can lose your life for talking to a foreign journalist. So that's the environment that we are reporting in. If the people who talk to us can't expect to remain safe, they're not going to want to talk to us. A fourth area of concern is the denial of access to government information, and that includes new classification of data and other materials as state secrets. And we're seeing this become a growing trend, particularly with economic data that was once public, but also now Chinese journalists have been issued a directive to not share information about their work with foreign journalists. So you can no longer go for coffee or a drink with a Chinese journalist and talk about stories and share ideas and sources according to this regulation. And we don't know exactly how that's going to play out, but it's not a good situation. The fifth area of concern is denial of access to the Chinese market. Foreign media companies are it's becoming increasingly clear that your website will be blocked in China if you write something the government doesn't like. So that's happened to several news organizations in the last 2 years after investigative reporting in China. That's a pretty clear business issue. And the sixth big issue, which I think Joe is probably going to go into detail on, is punitive visa policies. In the past 2 years, it's become very apparent that we've got a pay-for-play situation with journalist credentials, and I shouldn't say pay-for-play, you can't really pay, but pay through coverage that doesn't hurt the feelings of the government. So from our latest survey, let's see here, in 2014, 18% of the respondents had difficulty renewing their press cards or visas, and among those, half said that they were threatened over specific coverage. So China is using the visa and the press card as a lever. As you know, there have been several high-profile expulsions. Delays have become commonplace, and that isn't a problem with Chinese journalists reporting in the U.S. Or Chinese journalists reporting in most other open countries. So it is a very specific thing that China is doing to control access to information. And as a result, global coverage of China has been hindered. I mean, these are things that we need to be thinking about. A couple of other issues I'm just going to throw in at the end. Number one is online media. There's been not much talk of that here today, but China does not officially recognize online media as media. So I tried for 3.5 years to get a bureau license and a press card for the online news site Global Post. First through Global Post alone, and then under the banner of the PBS NewsHour. Neither one was ever granted. And to this day, only one online news organization has been able to get a visa, a 6-month temporary visa, so not even a resident press card, and they have to renew it every 6 months. The second issue is freelancers. Freelancers have been in the news lately and for very tragic reasons in Syria. And I think we all need to remember that there are freelancers in China who are skirting legal regulations to be there because China doesn't recognize freelance journalists either. So I'm going to leave you with that big overload of information, and hopefully you can all help us come up with some ideas on how to make the situation better going forward. Thanks very much.